This is Coach Lee, and I'm going to talk to you about your ex's thoughts during no contact, and I'm going to come at it from a different angle. This is the most popular topic as far as what people ask me to do videos about. They want to know more about what is going on in their ex's thoughts in their heart and what they're thinking about you being in no contact. So let's get started. Number one, and this is when your ex is in relief stage. And I have a video about stages your ex goes through during no contact. I'll link to that in the description below. But I'm referring to when they are in that relief stage, which follows the breakup. And people will say, how long does the relief stage last? Well, there's no set time, but usually it can take 2 weeks to a month and a half. It's very difficult to predict. But if you go into no contact, I can tell you that it will shorten the amount of time that they are in relief, which can get them into the other stages where they can actually start the process of moving back towards you and reconsidering. But usually your ex's thoughts after they break up with you are that you are fine, that you're not hurt, that this is not a problem, that you're going to be A-okay. And usually they think that because they tell you some excuse they think you can't argue with, and so they think, well, he or she will think that this is not really about them. It's kind of the it's not you, it's me thing, because they don't want you to feel hurt, that you're not enough or something like that. And if they can come up with the right excuse, they think that you won't hurt. And they like that because they still care about you and they don't want to just hurt you. Most people, if they're good people, they don't want to just hurt people. And so unless your ex is just very direct and they say, you're not good enough for me, or I'm not attracted to you anymore, or something like that, usually it's going to be something like, I need to work on myself, I'm not ready for a relationship, I'm so busy, gosh darn it, I'm just so busy. You know, these excuses that really don't matter, that if you two loved each other, it would not be a problem, but they would want your support and they would want to be with you during this time. I've even heard people say they're going through a difficult time, so they broke up with me. But that's when you need a partner. That's when you need a helper. And so it doesn't make any sense, and you should not put a lot of weight on their excuse, especially because they think that what they're going to tell you is going to make you feel just fine about the situation, and they won't have to worry about hurting you. But that doesn't last for long, and I'm going to get into that in the next few points. Number two, and this is when they go into what I call the curiosity stage, and they're curious about your silence. Because when they start thinking about it more and more, they start to think, wait a minute, even though I gave them this excuse and I think that they should be fine, because I'm fine. I've had plenty of time to think about it. The person who does the dumping has usually thought about it for months, weeks, but it's at least a lot longer than you. And so that's why you're shocked and you're trying to find a solution, and they've already gone through it in their mind. They've probably retried with you several times. And so they think they're done and it's hopeless. But when you are silent, when you go into no contact, those thoughts that they didn't hurt you and that you'll be just fine begin to turn into questions. That's why I call it curiosity. Questions of why. Why aren't you reaching out? Are they not attractive enough? Because it feels opposite the dynamic. They broke up with you. You wanted to stay together. But you're not acting like it. You're just silent. You're not fighting to try to get them back. You're not making them feel validated and super sexy and like they're above you. And that throws off the dynamic to where they start looking at things again. They're curious about it. It doesn't mean they want to get back together right then, though some exes do reach out when they are in the curiosity stage. But they're curious why you're not trying to get them back. And they can go through different thought processes and different forms of logic in their mind about why you're not doing that. Does that mean you don't like them? Does that mean you're not attracted to them anymore? Does that mean that they made you angry when they broke up with you? Because now that they've had time to think about it, they realize the excuse they gave you still broke the relationship. It still took them away from you. And so you should be trying to get them back. That's what they think. If that dynamic is correct, where they feel like they are not attracted to you anymore, that they are more attractive, and even though they deny it, that's basically what they think. Even if they're just getting out of a bad situation. Well, yes, then they're attracted to a better situation that they think is out there. So it still holds up. But they become curious about your silence. And that's really important because that is what leads them down the rabbit hole of reconsidering the relationship. Before I get to number three, get more information on my emergency breakup kit. It's a guide to help you get your ex back. And it's the culmination of my 2 decades in the relationship service. It guides you through what you need to do and what you don't need to do if you want your ex back. I appreciate you listening to my commercial. Obviously, I have a staff to pay, and we all have bills that aren't paid with just love. And so I appreciate your support. It's the emergency breakup kit. You can get it at myexbackcoach.com/EBK as an emergency breakup kit, and the link is in the description below for the emergency breakup kit. Number 3, what's interesting is after they get out of curiosity, it's a stage that I call concern. And the reason they're concerned is because your silence feels like rejection. And think about it. If someone's not pursuing you, if someone's not chasing you and fighting and trying to get in a relationship with you or keep a relationship with you, when they have time with it, it starts to feel like rejection. It starts to feel like abandonment. It starts to feel like you left them, which is really interesting because think of the pain that you've gone through. I know you don't want to think about it, but just for academic purposes, consider that you've been in a lot of pain and confusion. It's kind of interesting that this is what happens to your ex too in this stage, assuming they get there. And again, the way you give the best chance of your ex getting through these stages is to be silent, is to give them the breakup instead of fighting the breakup and trying to talk them out of it and pestering and showing up and contacting them. Just giving them the breakup, saying, if you want the breakup, I am going to act like we are broken up. I'm not going to try to get us back together because you're the one who wants out. So you have to be the one to come back if that's what you want. That's basically what you're telling them. But they don't really understand that. All they know is that you are not trying to get them back, that you're not pursuing them. And it can make them think that maybe they are not attractive enough. Are you not attracted to them? Are you not wanting to be with them? And so it feels like rejection. And so they can start experiencing some of the pain that you have. And that's a positive thing if you want your ex back, because you want this to be difficult for them. If you don't give them the silence, if you keep pestering, if you keep showing up and begging and trying to get them back, they won't be able to go through these stages. So if you want your ex back, it's not just me saying, yeah, no contact, because why not? There's a lot that this is based on. It's based on giving you the best odds of actually getting your ex to come back to you, or to at least reconsider and come to the table and want to talk to you about it and think and see if maybe it's worth it, if they could give it another try. And so I hope you'll believe me that backing away, disappearing, going silent is actually your best bet. It is actually a good strategy, a strong strategy. It's not just you giving up. Number 4, just like what human beings typically do, your ex will respond in some way to attempt to feel better. This is where it can get tricky because sometimes your ex might try dating. Don't freak out because a lot of times this ends in failure. It's abysmal because they have their mind on you, and because most dating relationships, when people actually start dating, they get date number 2 or date number 3, 70% of the time it fails within 6 months. And of that 70%, the majority of that fails in 2 months. That's if they even do get to date number 2 or 3. So don't let this concern you too much because they are trying to fill a void in their heart that belongs to you. They're trying to find that intimacy again. But you can't just replace intimacy that's been built by a year or however long your relationship has been, more than that. Maybe it's been 6 months. Either way, they can't replicate and find that level of intimacy with someone that they just go out on a couple of dates with. They might try, but they will usually, if you've done the right things and the relationship was good to begin with, for the most part, like it wasn't awful with fighting, you haven't said terrible things to them. If you two had a good, solid relationship and they broke up with you because they felt like things faded out or they didn't see a future with you, but the relationship was solid, it is difficult for them to just find something else to replace it. That's why we call it a rebound relationship. There's an artificialness to the whole thing, and they typically don't last. Sometimes they do. I can't guarantee anything, but sometimes they don't. A lot of times they don't. And so how might your ex respond to feel better? Well, sometimes it's wanting to see you. They might just reach out and ask how you're doing and then tell you how they're doing. They're wanting to feel that intimacy. And that's a great sign that they are feeling the pain and they know what the source of it is, and it's being without you. And this means you're in good shape. I will tell you this, and I get into more of this in my emergency breakup kit or in coaching sessions, but you can't just act like that they have come back and I'm so glad to talk to you. I've missed you so much. I have dwelt in darkness without you. Things are going to be wonderful now because we're back together. You can't act that way. You have to actually let this be a slow moving thing. And so I've said in other videos, it's a great thing to say, especially if they tell you that they are reconsidering and that they think they might want to get back together. Say something like, well, I'm open to that, but I want to take it one day at a time, where you're not giving it all back to them. Plus, they can actually think to themselves, this is not a guarantee. they're not sure about me. I'm going to actually have to prove myself to them. I'm going to have to do some things. I'm going to have to be a good girlfriend or be a good boyfriend to earn them back. And that's exactly what you want them thinking. And so use discipline to approach it that way rather than give in to your emotions and basically turn them back. It will actually undo your no contact and your silence if you are just too excited and act like you two are back together right away. You need to show reserve. And this is also so that they don't do this again to you, or so that they don't do it to manipulate you or to punish you. I'm going to break up with her. I'm going to break up with him because they said something I didn't like, or because they zigged when they should have zagged, or I didn't like the vacation spot they picked. Some shallow, narcissistic, low-level reason like that to break up with someone. If they think that they could lose you from doing that, they're not going to do it. It can help change the way they view relationships. And sometimes they need that, especially if maybe you have caused the relationship to be too one-sided. And that can happen if they start to feel like they are more the prize and you are more the pursuer, when it should be two people pursuing each other because you are their prize and they are your prize. That's how it really should be. But if it gets out of balance, it can cause a breakup and it can cause you to break up again. Before I get to the final point, number 5, you can book a coaching session with me. The link is in the description below, or you can go to myexbackcoach.com and you can click on coaching and then click on my name. And that's where you can book a private session with me. And I can really get into the details of your situation to help you get your ex back. And that does give you the highest percentage chance, simply because I've seen so many breakups and so many reunions, and I can help walk you through even complex situations of dating relationships or even married relationships. And so to book that call with me, you just go to myexbackcoach.com, you click on coaching, and then you click on my name. So number 5, when they get to the place where they are wanting to feel better, they will go through a dilemma lots of times. And that dilemma is a question: should I reach out? And this is again where you being in no contact and where your silence can be very helpful, because if they think that they're not sure they want to get back together, but they think they might, which is understandable. It's natural. It's human to not be certain either way. And you want to be able to reattract them when they start to have doubts about the breakup and think that they might want to get back together. You want to be able to be with them face to face. You want to be able to have a conversation with them. You want the opportunity to reattract them. But if you have pestered and just wouldn't take no for an answer and you stayed in contact, whereas no contact is still the best thing you can do at that point, and it may just delay things, hopefully. But if you didn't do those things and you really pushed hard, it can make them concerned, and they can wonder if reaching out to you, if interacting with you, is going to lead you on to where you think the two of you are back together, to where you will latch on to that too much when they're not sure yet. So it's better if you're silent and you're in no contact for a while and then they reach out to you, because then they think that because you were able to stay away from them, that they could interact with you and they can see you, and it's not going to make you think that the two of you are back together. It's not going to lead you on more than they are sure of their decision. And so that's another benefit of no contact and of your silence, is that they think you can handle it because you haven't just been freaking out and chasing them and being super emotional and not taking no for an answer and pushing and all that, because then they're kind of afraid if they say anything, you'll start doing all that again, and that it will be more difficult than if they say, well, I'm not really sure, let's take a break, that you'll do all that again. And so that's why, or at least one of the many reasons why, I tell you no contact is super important, not just because it's the right thing to do to give you the best chance, but because it prevents you from doing the wrong things that can really mess you up in the future. Be sure to get more information on my emergency breakup kit or on a coaching session with me at myexbackcoach.com. The link is in the description below. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.